I'm Vicky. Today we're going to talk you through cleaning your bike. It's winter, it's something we're all having to do, that's the reality of life. So I've got a full range of cleaning products. I've got the great Mobi washer, I've got some fab brushes that we're going to use, and the new Guy Martin cleaning products, which I'm really excited about trying. And then just to finish it off, we've got the Microfibre cloth, some bike protect, and the all-important lube. There are 3 stages to cleaning your bike. First off, unless you've come straight to cleaning your bike from being on the trails, you're going to need to effectively rehydrate the mud. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hose down the bike. Be careful especially with full suspension bikes, but any bike that's got bearings, be really careful not to put a powerful jet next to those bearings. It's going to dry out the grease in them. Great, so I'm happy with that. Now it's time to use the spray guns. This is the degreaser. We're going to use that first. It's on. And this is going to go all over the cassette, the jockey wheels, the chain, and just let it soak in. Again, you want to get to the different bits of the chain ring. So that's the drive chain done. Now we're going to go just with the general proper cleaner. I'm just going to take one of the general brushes and just start working in the cleaning products so that they've got a chance to really work. It's worthwhile being systematic with your cleaning and working from the top down, so you basically don't put dirty stuff over stuff you've already cleaned, which is a big waste of time. It's worth taking time to do this first stage and just really agitate the cleaning products on the bike, because that's going to help dislodge any stubborn bits, and then you're going to be able to clean it better. We've got a fantastic brush for doing the outside of the tyres. So for this, I'm going to start at the valve. When you're doing any work on a bike wheel, it's worth starting at a set point, but like the valve, so that you know where you've got to. And then I'm going to do the same at the front. So again, I'll find the valve, then I know where I am. Cool, there we go. So we're just going to finish off agitating the different bits of the bike to get the mud moving. You do want to be careful with things like stanchions on the fork and on the shock. Careful not to scratch them, careful not to spray too hard so that dirt gets in around the seal. It's the same on the dropper post. Obviously, if anything breaks that seal or gets lodged in there, it's going to affect the performance of the piece of suspension or the seat post. So whilst you can be quite rugged in some areas, it's worth being more gentle in others. Cool. I think that's a good initial clean. So we're now going to just leave it to work itself in there for a bit, and then we'll spray it off and see where we need to go from there. So now we've left it for a while to soak, to do its job, for the magic to work. We're going to take this lovely gentle brush and the spray gun again and just gently clean it off, rinse it off, see what we're left with, where we have to go back and do some more specific cleaning. Just wafting the water around so that it doesn't get too hard or too much direction in any one area. This soft brush is lovely for the stanchions. It's nice and soft, it's not going to scratch anything, so that's great. making sure that you get in there. Quite often you can get grit stuck in the brakes, which often after a really dirty ride can make your bike sound like it's got rubbing brakes. It's actually normally just a tiny bit of grit in the pads. So again, just give it a good clean. The great thing about cleaning your bike in a really detailed way is you're actually able to give it a bit of a once over at the same time. You can check things like the tread of the tyres, which of course in winter is really important. You can actually look at how true your wheel is. You can just get a feel for the setup of the bike really, and whether there's anything you need to be working on. Obviously your bottom bracket is a bearing essentially like any of the other bearings on the bike. So you want to be careful not to spray too directly towards it. That's where it's worth using the different brushes and so on to really get into those areas. Because otherwise you're washing away the grease, which is there to do its job. Right, so I think it is time to get this rear wheel out and get the front wheel out, and then we can have a really good go at the frame. I'm now at this point, because I've got more access, I'm actually going to put some more spray on so that we clean it. Some of the bits that didn't necessarily get the cleaning products before have now got them. Great, so now we've left that to soak a bit longer. I'm just going to be sort of brushing it around a bit, just getting into all the nooks and crannies. Now this brush is great because there are some places that you just can't get to very easily, and I can just get it into these parts and just hook out the dirt, and then likewise I can just brush some of it here. Getting in underneath. With your cassette, this is the time where you can now use this sort of scraper to get round inside and hook out any leaves and things that are in there. This is just really, at the same time you can actually have a look at the wear of your cassette, so you can see, just keep an eye on it, see how worn it is. So, right, we're ready to go again with the hose. If the mud is caked in really well on your jockey wheels, this is the time to get out your little flathead screwdriver, and you can just go round, and where sort of the rim has formed of mud, a ring of mud's formed, you can just scrape it off. It's actually incredibly satisfying, but it's also just the best way to clean them. You see there, that's it, and just flake it off. Jockey wheels as well have got little bearings inside them. The bolt there goes through a bearing. So again, you just want to be careful with your power hose, and anything you can do to help prevent the use of that or need for it is great. So just scrape it off. This brush here is great for cleaning chains because you can actually work the chain into it. So let's give it a hose. So there we are, we've got our clean bike. Now it's time to put it back together and put a bit of protection on so that when you next go riding, it's going to be that much easier to clean again. So first thing we're going to do is take our multi-tool and we're going to put our front wheel back in. Then at the back here, we're going to do the same again. Great. So the next thing we're going to do, take our microfibre cloth, and this one's great, it's got two sides to it, So this really soft plush side, I'm going to start by just drying the stanchions. I do tend to do that first so that I know that there's no grit on my microfibre cloth. I'm not going to be drying anything into it, into the stanchions where I don't want to scratch them. Once they're dried, then I'm quite happy to just use the cloth all over the rest of the bike. I'm just going to run the chain through, go from the quick link so that then you know where you started and stopped, and just giving it a dry. That's one complete turn. It's a good habit to get into when you're working with anything rotational, to just have a fixed starting and stopping point, otherwise you drive yourself crazy. Next, we're going to use the Bike Protect. Give that a good shake. And then, like with all things, when you're spraying anything really near a bike, it's worth spraying onto a piece of fabric, a cloth or what have you, and then applying it to the bike, so that you aren't going to risk getting your spray anywhere near things like the brake rotors and so on that could contaminate. These products are bike friendly, brake friendly and so on, but it's worth just keeping them away from your brakes so that you don't run the risk. There we go. So I think the final thing we have to do is apply our chain lube. The chain is dry, we've made sure of that, it's clean, and now we're just going to lube it so that next time we use it, we won't come to it and find it's rusted and got all sort of joined up together. So we've got an all-weather lube, which is a fairly safe bet that we're going to have all kinds. So again, what we're doing is starting at the quick link, we're just going to slowly rotate the pedals so that you can get an even coverage. Once we've got the whole chain covered, which we now have, I'm just going to run it through a few times just to work it in and get that oil, essentially that fluid, through every single link on the chain. Then what we do is take our cloth, because I've cleaned everything else on the bike, I've dried it, this cloth is just going to go straight in the washing machine. So now I can use this cloth just to mop up any excess lube and just send that round a few times. There we go. Great, so that is one clean bicycle.